Israel has to defeat her. I really believe that it's a disaster for Israel. And you know why, and you've heard her statements. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make Israel great again.
I'm a firm believer that no candidate wins an election on their own.
What I love about AIPAC is that they get behind people and they win.
AIPAC comes in and it's like someone threw you a life raft.
This week, the group secured its first major victory of the election season. Fresh off of that victory, AIPAC has already set sights on its next target.
Well, you know what we got to say to AIPAC? Bring it on!
The results are in. George Latimer defeats incumbent Jamal Bowman.
Incumbent Republican Bob Good has been defeated by challenger State Senator John McGuire.
Missouri Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush, known for being part of the Squad, will no longer serve in Congress next year.
To folks in the pro-Israel community, we have no choice but to stay engaged and stay in this fight.
I just want to extend my sincere gratitude to this community for helping me get to Congress and assure everybody that you're going to have a long-term friend.
Israel has to defeat her. I really believe that it's a disaster for Israel. And you know why, and you've heard her statements. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before.
The amount of that subsidy is remarkable and a testament to AIPAC's clout on Capitol Hill. Altogether, Israel gets more than $3 billion a year in assistance from the United States.
Sometimes the votes go through without a single debate involving billions of dollars. You couldn't spend that kind of money in this country without a huge debate going on. But a foreign government gets this money without debate because simply it's just organized to get it.
Why does Israel get more aid, more U.S. aid, than any other country in the world? $700 per Israeli per year, as opposed to $50 per Egyptian per year, as opposed to $2 per African per year.
When I came into office, I promised to look at the world's challenges with open eyes and very fresh thinking. We cannot solve our problems by making the same failed assumptions and repeating the same failed strategies of the past. Old challenges demand new approaches. My announcement today marks the beginning of a new approach to conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. In 1995, Congress adopted the Jerusalem Embassy Act, urging the federal government to relocate the American embassy to Jerusalem and to recognize that that city, and so importantly, is Israel's capital. This act passed Congress by an overwhelming bipartisan majority and was reaffirmed by a unanimous vote of the Senate only 6 months ago. Yet for over 20 years, every previous American president has exercised the law's waiver, refusing to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem or to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital city. Presidents issued these waivers under the belief that delaying the recognition of Jerusalem would advance the cause of peace.
What I love about AIPAC is that they get behind people and they win.
Well, let's talk about Cynthia. There are many reports that talks about the influence of the Israeli lobby, AIPAC, on United States politics in general. Did you experience anything in that realm as far as what one would call the interference in American policy by AIPAC?
Well, it's interesting because when I first went to Congress, I did not go to Congress to pay particular attention to any area outside of the black community that I represented that was in need, and of course U.S. Africa policy, which was abhorrent and unfortunately still is. But what I ran into, I bumped into at almost every turn were these special interests. And there's no more special interest that has any more influence than the pro-Israel lobby.
AIPAC comes in and it's like someone threw you a life raft.
This week, the group secured its first major victory of the election season. Fresh off of that victory, AIPAC has already set sights on its next target.
And there's no more special interest that has any more influence than the pro-Israel lobby. And so then when I did outreach, for example, to the Muslim community in the United States, I bumped into the pro-Israel lobby, which of course does not want to have to contend with a politicized Muslim community, which is as large as and is as wealthy as the pro-Israel lobby is in the United States. So yes, I first-handedly and also frontally was assaulted by the presence of the pro-Israel lobby to such an extent.
Physically assaulted?
Well, politically assaulted,
okay,
to such an extent that my father had to ask the question publicly, what does Stone Mountain, Georgia have to do with Israel? What I was doing was servicing the needs of my constituents, and I was not allowed to do that because I did not toe the line on U.S. policy for Israel.
What line is that they wanted? Were you told directly that you had to toe a line, or explain that to me?
Well, every candidate for Congress at that time had a pledge. They were given a pledge to sign.
I have said to people when they ask me if this Capitol crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid, and I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel. That's fundamental.
Bob Good has been defeated by challenger State Senator John McGuire.
Missouri Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush, known for being part of the Squad, will no longer serve in Congress next year.
Across our country, Jewish Americans strengthen, sustain, and inspire our nation. As president, I will always celebrate and honor the Jewish people, and I will always stand with our treasured friend and ally, the State of Israel. That I can tell you. So 2 years ago, I recognized the true capital of Israel, and we opened the American Embassy in Jerusalem. And we got it built. They were thinking anywhere from $1 billion to $2 billion. I did it for $350,000, you know. We got a building that was in beautiful shape in the best location there is. And we got it done. We got it done. We had it open in 4 months. And it's right now open, and I don't know, maybe someday they'll build a more expensive version of it, but it can't get much better, right, Robert? I think, and Ron can tell you, it can't get much better than what we have. We have the best location. They were going out, they wanted me to sign an order for anywhere from $1 billion to $2 billion, and they were going to look for a piece of land, but they said land in Jerusalem is very rare and very expensive. I said, do you think we have a piece? And David Friedman, our great ambassador, did a fantastic job. He did a fantastic job. I said, David, they want to spend $2 billion. I said, go check it out. Let me see. He called me back. He said, sir, I think we can do it for about $250,000, maybe $300,000. So we'll save $1 billion, and we have a better location than any location we could have gotten on, right? And it's been open now for a long time. So it was great. And we used all Jerusalem stone. Friends of mine like Jerusalem stone. Over here it costs a fortune. Over there it wasn't so expensive. I've also recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. That was another one. And I said to Bob, so what, Bob Kraft, I said, so what was bigger, Bob? What we did for Israel in terms of Jerusalem and moving the embassy to Jerusalem, becoming the capital of Israel, or the Golan Heights, which you've been looking to do for 52 years. They've been having meetings on the Golan Heights. Nothing happened until I came along. I said, Bob Kraft, which is bigger? Which is more important to the Jewish people? He said, neither. I said, what does that mean? He said, what you did by terminating the Iran nuclear deal is bigger than both. I think that's true. I think that's true, Jeff. You know, could be true. I said, I sort of agree with that. But today we're taking another historic action. In just a few moments, I'll sign an executive order to combat anti-Semitism. This action makes clear that Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits the federal funding of universities and other institutions that engage in discrimination, applies to institutions that traffic in anti-Semitic hate. So this is a very powerful document that we're signing today, and it's been a very big story over the last number of days when they heard. As you know, they had almost universal support in Congress, and yet they didn't get it done. And this has gone on for years and years. They've almost had universal support, but there was always a roadblock. But this year there's no roadblock because I'm doing it myself. It's much easier. And we have support from many in Congress. This is our message to universities. If you want to accept the tremendous amount of federal dollars that you get every year, you must reject anti-Semitism. It's very simple.
My question to you, are mobs shouting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, or long live the infantata, are those anti-Semitic comments?
When I hear those terms, I find them very upsetting. And I have heard...
That's a great answer to a question I didn't ask, so let me repeat the question. When mobs or people are shouting from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, or long live the infantata, are those anti-Semitic statements? Are those anti-Semitic statements? Are those anti-Semitic statements?
And all the acts of terrorism perpetrated by pro-Palestinians against Israelis during the two intifadas, what do you think of those?
I'm not here to debate the first and the second intifada with you. I've told you the definition of the word. You can leave it at that and allow me to address the other things that you brought on.
You're being disingenuous. When pro-Palestinian groups outside of New York University chant about intifada, they know what they're doing, and Jewish people know what they're doing. They are invoking the first and second intifada,
I don't know what
which
you say they're doing,
which
because
involved
every
a lot of violence and a lot of terrorism.
Has been chanting intifada for decades. So, you know, this, and let's go to the second phrase you say, from the river to the sea.
Yeah.
Now they want to make a problem with that. Any chant that we say, you know, there's this accusation of anti-Semitism. Any chant that we say, you know, there's this accusation of anti-Semitism.
Any chant that we say, you know, there's this accusation of anti-Semitism.
For 30 years, I am very consistent, and I'm saying something very simple. This conflict is not on the lack of a state of Palestinian, but the existence of a state, the Jewish state. Every area that we evacuate, we receive terrible terror against that. It happened in South Lebanon, in Gaza, and also Judea and Samaria, which we did it. And therefore, I clarify that in any other arrangement, in the future, the state of Israel have to control on the entire area from the river to the sea.
Did the president address Netanyahu's use of the phrase "from the river to the sea" in their conversation today? I know the White House has previously said that phrase is divisive. So
I'm not aware that that specific phrase was discussed.
do you condemn him using that phrase?
Look, there's a connotation with that phrase. We've talked about this before, but when you use the phrase "river to the sea," it speaks basically to the mantra of Hamas and in their manifesto, where they basically describe the geographic bounds of what they believe to be Palestine. And if you look at it on the map, if you go look at the four corners that they describe it, it's basically the state of Israel. They just don't believe it should exist. So again, it's not a phrase that we recommend using, given because of that context.
This wasn't Hamas. This was Netanyahu.
I understand. I don't have anything more on that, and I certainly don't have anything more on the conversation to read out with respect to that.
And if you say from the river to the sea, Palestinians should be free, or Palestine should be free, or whatever it is you want to say, that's anti-Semitism.
You say from the river to the sea is an unacceptable chant. Did you mention to the audience in these last 20 minutes that Benjamin Netanyahu actually said it recently? Not only that, he's actually doing it. He's in the middle of wiping out the Palestinians from the river to the sea. That is the grotesque violence. He has slaughtered 25,000 women and children. They were all innocent. So when Hamas kills 860 innocent Israeli civilians, I call them out and I say that is terrible. But when Israel slaughters 25,000 women and children, we're saying, oh, I don't like a pro-Palestinian chant?
Yes or no? It's not how you feel, it's...
I hear them as such. Some people don't. We have sent a clear message.
So is that yes?
We have sent a clear message to our community.
I'm not asking about the message. Yeah. Is that fall under definition of anti-Semitic behavior? Yes or no? Why is it so tough?
Because it's a difficult issue, because
I realize it's a difficult issue,
as anti-Semitic,
but here's the problem: when people can't answer a simple question and they have a definition, but then they can't. Well, I'm not really sure if that qualifies. So I'm asking a simple question. Maybe I should ask your task force. Does that qualify as anti-Semitic behavior, those statements, yes or no?
Could you provide for us a definition of anti-Semitism?
Anti-Semitism is a hate against their religion. Anti-Semitism is a hate against their religion.
Anti-Semitism is a hate against their religion.
Anti-Semitism is a hate against their religion. By the time you get to the 18th and 20th centuries, when so many Jews have assimilated, they are in culture, they are in arts, they're in science, it's no longer against them for their religion, it's against them for their race. Because anti-Semitism is the oldest hate in the world, and the hate that mutates.
Are you familiar with Genesis 12:3?
Probably not as well as you are, Congressman.
Well, it's pretty clear. It was the covenant that God made with Abraham. And that covenant was real clear. If you bless Israel, I will bless you. If you curse Israel, I will curse you. And then in the New Testament, it was confirmed that all nations would be blessed through you. So you do not know about that.
I have heard that. Now that you've explained it, yes, I have heard that before.
It's now familiar. Do you consider that a serious issue? I mean, do you want Columbia University to be cursed by God of the Bible? I mean, do you want Columbia University to be cursed by God of the Bible?
I mean, do you want Columbia University to be cursed by God?
To folks in the pro-Israel community, We have no choice but to stay engaged and stay in this fight.
I just want to extend my sincere gratitude to this community for helping me get to Congress and assure everybody that you're going to have a long-term friend.
My administration will never tolerate the suppression, persecution, or silencing of the Jewish people. We have also taken a firm stand against the so-called divestment and sanctions movement, or BDS. You know that very well. And I have to tell you, Jared Kushner and Ivanka, they've been talking to me about this for 3 years now, maybe longer than that. But I go back about 3 years where it's something that I could do about it. You know, in this position, we can do things about it. Before that, not quite as much. I'd be just like you. Successful, doing nicely, but not for this. But they've been talking from the beginning of the administration. They've been bringing this up. And we forcefully condemn this anti-Semitic campaign against the state of Israel and its citizens.
Police make a wild discovery underneath a synagogue in Brooklyn.
An illegal tunnel found below the Chabad Lubavitch World Headquarters in Crown Heights.
All right, Fox 5's Lisa Evers takes a look at how it was discovered.
9 men are facing charges this afternoon after police say they dug a secret tunnel into the sanctuary of the Chabad Lubavitch headquarters in Brooklyn.
The men, described by police as extremist students, are accused of digging the tunnel so that they would be able to have access to the sanctuary after hours. And when a cement truck was brought in to fill that tunnel, the men stood in the tunnel, refusing to leave.
The discovery of a secret tunnel eventually led to a massive brawl inside a 100-year-old synagogue in Brooklyn, New York. Known as 770, the synagogue serves one of the largest groups of Hasidic Jews in the world. Now, luckily, no injuries were reported from this brawl, believe it or not. But what the hell sparked it? What is behind the brawl in the first place? What got people so fired up? Well, it was all over the discovery of a tunnel and an attempt by authorities to fill it with cement. So you see a gentleman coming out of that tunnel. This isn't in the Middle East, guys. This is in Brooklyn, okay? This is in Brooklyn.
בכל העניינים. בזמן שישראל לאחרונה נמצא בטקסט כמה עניינים. מה שרואה עוד, וגם מטר שעדיין משאיר ליבו. אז הייתה משהו במה ידיעתו. הכנראה שהיא מספיק, כאילו שהיום כבר שוד, כמה שוד בגיר עדיין ליבו. אבל יש עוד כמה שעות, אז יש להשתדל גם היום, בבשורות טובות. יש שמחה וטוב לבוא. אבל כדי שחסידים מקפידים שכל עניינים יהיו שמחה. בשורות טובות, הצלחה רבה.
In New York City, 20,000 Hasidic Jews still keep traditions which have remained unaltered for centuries. They are called the Lubavitch Chabad. The Lubavitch believe that they have the answer to the question, what is a Jew? Or more precisely, what does God expect of a Jew? God expects that a Jew should be someone who sticks rigidly to orthodox practices and to a fundamentalist reading of the Jewish Bible, the Torah. Crown Heights, Brooklyn is the headquarters of a movement which has set up communities in 28 countries. The influence of the Lubavitch is felt worldwide, but most notably in Israel, where Orthodox religious parties would like to achieve a purely religious state. Hasidism began in Eastern Europe in the 18th century and was argued over even then. It attracted thousands to its emotional, mystical worship, but existing orthodoxy opposed it. Hasidic life centers on a charismatic leader known as the Rebbe. The Lubavitch Rebbe is Menachem Mendel Schneerson. He's the seventh in a dynasty which stretches back 200 years. He is revered by his followers as father, guru, king, miracle worker, perhaps even Messiah.
Ich habe Schmuck Jakob von der Maske von Knesset. Ich habe Schmuck Jakob von der Maske von Knesset. Macht mich an alle jeden Tag das ganze Schiene. Und ich habe der Knesset sicher. Dafür wird nicht jeden Tag, ich habe nicht mehr. Da sie in Gruppen Mechaner sein und jeden Tag da sicher Mechaner sein, in Top Regit Gilmonis ist. Dort hat doch nicht sein eigenes Bord sicher. Ja. Mir hat sie noch ein anderes, was wir haben dann nicht. Sein gute Psyche, das noch ran. Das ist gut. Ich war Schutz in der Bar. So das so.
A kurzer Prospekt, das Chevy Mississippi now. The Rebbe has promised and is updating the Taiwan, Father
Gut, das sagt so, dass wir ja schon sagen, dass sie keine verschlufen, wir haben alle sehen. So dass sie zugepasst hat, das Programm. Und wenn sie Masken sagen, bin ich hier mit Masken. Das ist was los. Das verraten, das war der Hauptwoche nach 40 Jahren. Da nicht zu bewegen, nicht zu gelandet, so kann jeden Tag wirklich stoppen.
102nd Congress of the United States of America AT the first session begun and held at the city of Washington on Thursday, the 3rd day of January. 1991 joint resolution to designate March 26, 1991, as Education Day, U.S.A. Whereas Congress recognizes the historical tradition of ethical values and principles which are the basis of civilized society, and upon which our great nation was founded. Whereas these ethical values and principles have been the bedrock of society from the dawn of civilization, when they were known as the 7 Noachide Laws. Whereas without these ethical values and principles the edifice of civilization stands in serious peril of returning to chaos. Whereas society is profoundly concerned with the recent weakening of these principles that has resulted in crises that beleaguer and threaten the fabric of civilized society. Whereas the justified preoccupation with these crises must not let the citizens of this nation lose sight of their responsibility to transmit these historical ethical values from our distinguished past to the generations of the future. Whereas the Lubavitch movement has fostered and promoted these ethical values and principles throughout the world. Whereas Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, leader of the Lubavitch movement, is universally respected and revered and his 89th birthday falls on March 26, 1991. Whereas in tribute to this great spiritual leader, the Rebbe, his 90th year will be seen as one of education and giving, the year in which we turn to education and charity to return the world to the moral and ethical values contained in the 7 Noachide Laws. And whereas this will be reflected in an international scroll of honor signed by the President of the United States and other heads of state, now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that March 26, 1991, the start of the 90th year of Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, leader of the worldwide Lubavitch movement, is designated as Education Day, U.S.A. The President is requested to issue a proclamation calling upon the people of the United States to observe such day with appropriate ceremonies and activities.
You just like me because my daughter happens to be Jewish, right? She has a great husband, Jared, and I'll tell you what, Ivanka could not be happier, and she's very proud. The only bad news, I can't get her on Saturday. I call and call. I can't speak to my daughter anymore on Saturday, but that's okay.
Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful.
I want to thank my Jewish daughter. I have a Jewish daughter. This wasn't in the plan, but I'm very glad it happened. And by the way, I see Alan Dershowitz. Come on up here for a second, Alan. Wow. And I'd like to ask my friends, the pastors, to come up here. You know, Robert, and I have to say this to the other pastors, some of whom have been very kind, all of whom have been very kind, We've never had such evangelical Christian support. Jeff, come on up, Jeff. Come on up here, Jeff. You're the one that's doing such a good job legally to make sure all of this happens. But Robert Jeffress, I didn't know him, but I watched him, and I'd watch him on different shows, and I'd say, I like that guy. Man, he talks really great about me, and I like people that talk well about me. And he was saying, you know, he may not be the greatest Christian I've ever seen. He may not know the Bible quite as well as the rest of us. In fact, he may not know it very well at all. But that guy's a real leader, and he's going to do a job, and I appreciated that statement. I don't know if I should have, but I did. And I think we have led, because I think we've made more progress toward faith leaders. We got rid of the Johnson Amendment, which was a disaster. So I'd like to ask if, Robert, if you could say a couple of words, and if I could also ask Alan Dershowitz to say, and then we're going to sign a very important document. Okay, Robert, please.
Thank you. It is true. I believe President Trump is the most pro-faith president in history when you look at what he has done for people of all faiths. And Mr. President, you know, Jewish and Christian believers alike believe what God said to Abraham in Genesis 12, that God would bless those who bless Israel, and he would curse those who curse Israel. And I want to thank you, Mr. President, for being the kind of president who has the courage to stand up and be, when it comes to Israel, on the right side of history, but most importantly, you're on the right side of God, and that's why you are not going to fail, and we're going to stand behind you 100%. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Joe.
Great. For 65 of my 81 years, I have spent at universities all over the country and all over the world. There is no more important event in those 65 years to turn universities away from being bastions of hatred and discrimination than this executive order being signed today. It is a game changer. It will go down in history as one of the most important events in the 2,000-year battle against anti-Semitism.
Late today, President Trump signed that executive order at the White House. It essentially allows the government to interpret Judaism as both a race or nationality and a religion, even though that is still open to interpretation by some. Steve Hunnigs from the Jewish Community Relations Council says the order is not about calling Judaism a nationality,
which is a complicated way of saying that discrimination is forbidden based upon race and other immutable characteristics.
This comes after the rise of what the president views as anti-Semitism on college campuses.
Right. There's a bunch of different races, and Jewish is one of them.
I don't feel like that.
Some Jewish
no.
people, but it is a thing, right? It's a thing that some people believe, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah. It's a thing you can join.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could join being Asian.
Whoopi Goldberg did it successfully. And she's never looked back. She called the Holocaust white-on-white crime, and she's. She
did.
You don't remember that? Oh
yeah, she did. It was insane.
Basically, that's just some white people.
It wasn't about race. What?
Because
what?
she did the homework. Because
what?
she did the homework. Because
what?
she did the homework.
Then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
It is. Well,
No, it's
Jews
about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's
Well,
about
but
going
it's not-
after
it's
Jews
not about
and
ideal race.
gypsies and
But these are two
Romans.
white groups of people.
Well, they
How
were
do we
after black
but
people,
how-
too. And they were
But
after
you're missing the
homosexuals.
point. You're
Yeah.
missing the point.
Yeah.
The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, because black, white, Jews, everybody eats each other.
Discrimination can be based upon shared ancestry and ethnicity, even if the people share the same religion. It's a loophole within a loophole, or it's a loophole addressing a loophole. And that's the intent, and that's something that's important. It's important to Jews, it's important to Muslims, it's important to Sikhs, because it seems to find a way to give them protections under the law.
By signing this order, the president broadened the definition of discrimination under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That act allowed the Education Department to withhold funding from college or education programs, making it clear that anti-Semitism is also considered discrimination under Title VI. In an opinion piece published merely hours ago today, Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and senior advisor, reiterated the president's intentions. He says, quote, "It has become fashionable among Jew haters to characterize any discriminatory behavior, no matter how loathsome, not as criticism of Jews, but of Israel. This is a lie." He continues to say intimidation of Jewish students has become commonplace on college campuses.
Will this executive order combat anti-Semitism on campuses?
That seems to be the goal of it, is to extend certain protections that we talked about before to the campus setting. It's been shown on some campuses, not all campuses, but on some campuses, particularly around Israel-related issues, that there is intimidation, bullying, mistreatment of Jewish students and or students who are supportive of Israel based upon their right to express their support for Israel. Many college campuses, what are college campuses for? People discuss, people to debate, people to argue.
What I love about AIPAC is that they get behind people and they win.
And by the way, I see Alan Dershowitz. Come on up here for a second, Alan. Wow. And I'd like to ask my friends, the pastors, to come up here. Robert, and I have to say this to the other pastors, some of whom have been very kind, all of whom have been very kind. We've never had such evangelical Christian support.
I'm fixing to make some people mad right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be, for the statement I'm about to make, I'm going to be called a racist. And I will be called every name under the sun. But somebody needs to stand up and speak to the black church. When the largest African American Pentecostal denomination, when that leader stands up and said, "I endorse that woman," he was saying, "I endorse murder. I endorse homosexuality. I endorse lesbianism. I endorse transgenderism. I endorse every evil that hell could prosper or bring up to the right." That's wrong, folks. And the black church votes predominantly for the party that is anti-God. What's going on here? What's going on? See, my statement to them is this. We've had them call into the program. I don't like it when you talk about like this. Well, no, the problem is they don't like it because we're stepping on their toes. Hello? But I guarantee you, if 1860 was today, they wouldn't say a word about preachers preaching against slavery. They would trumpet it, and they should. So then, why will not the African American church stand up for righteousness and stand up for the Word of God? Come on, church. Come on, you can call me a racist. You can call me every name under the sun, but I am right. I come against you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. You don't vote for somebody just because mama voted them or daddy voted for them, but you vote according to the Word of God. Come out from among them.
Israel has to defeat her. I really believe that it's a disaster for Israel. And you know why, and you've heard her statements. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make Israel great again.
And we're going to make Israel great again.
Among the bills that are up for consideration are those that would make anti-Semitism a hate crime.
Now, one would adopt the International Holocaust Alliance definition of anti-Semitism and trigger penalties under the state's hate crimes law. But it's already getting pushback. And Fox 5's Christopher King is live at the state capitol with the details on this. Christopher.
Russ, Courtney supporters say this particular bill would define clearly what anti-Semitism is. They say right now there is no definition of anti-Semitism in Georgia code, but opponents say this particular measure could interfere with First Amendment rights. Georgia lawmakers head back to work next week. Among the big issues they'll debate this legislative session, proposals on anti-Semitism.
Our bill would define the term anti-Semitism.
State Representative Esther Panich last year introduced a bill that uses the International Holocaust Alliance definition. Anti-Semitism is hatred toward Jewish people, rhetorical and physical acts against Jewish people, their property, community institutions, and religious facilities.
It would be punished as a hate crime.
Panich, the only Jewish member of the General Assembly, says her bill would place anti-Semitism under the state's existing hate crime law. She says right now there is no definition in the Georgia Code stating what anti-Semitism is.
It defines what it is because right now there's no definition.
This proposal misses the mark on its intention.
Critics like State Representative Rua Roman say the Panich bill would do little to fight anti-Semitism. Roman calls the language in that legislation too vague.
The bill doesn't actually have the definition in it.
Anti-Zionism is anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. All of that is anti-Jew. They're saying it's a worldwide problem, right? Because the world is criticizing Israel right now because they are colonizers. They are committing crimes against humanity. So we're not allowed to say any of that. So basically, if you say anything against Israel at all, then you are anti-Semitic. I just think we should get rid of the word anti-Semite completely. I don't think there should be an anti-Semite word. It shouldn't be something that exists. This is the document, what is this? This is the HR document, HR 6090. It is the anti-Semitism bill that they put out there. Let's just go ahead and kind of take a look at this. Because this is interesting. They couldn't even define in this bill what anti-Semitism is, although that the American Jewish Committee just did. They said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, so that's your definition now. If you say anything against Israel, it's anti-Semitism. This bill, they had a hard time defining it. They couldn't even define in this bill what anti-Semitism is, although that the American Jewish Committee just did. They said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, so that's your definition now. If you say anything against Israel, it's anti-Semitism. This bill, they had a hard time defining it. They also can't define what a Jew is. If you say anything against Israel, it's anti-Semitism. This bill, they had a hard time defining it. They also can't define what a Jew is. Let me just go ahead and read some of this to you. It says, this act may be cited as the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act of 2023. It is the sense of Congress that Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. While such title does not cover discrimination based solely on religion, individuals who face discrimination based on actual or perceived shared ancestry or ethnic characteristics do not lose protection under such title for being members of a group that share a common religion. So they admit right there that while the such title does not cover discrimination based solely on religion, which is what being Jewish is a religion, that's what it is. Being Jewish is a religion, that's what it is.
Being Jewish is a religion, that's what it is.
Being Jewish is not an ethnicity. Being Jewish is not a culture. Being Jewish is not even a blood family. You can convert to Judaism. You can't convert to a blood family. You cannot convert to a race. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is. In particular, specifically, they sat down to create a language because nations need languages. And we will try to convince the Jewish people, forget about this religion stuff, it's nationality. Support Israel, fight in the army, then you're a good Jew. That way, we will be real men. We will be purified of our Jewiness. We will be purified of our Jewiness.
Of our Jewiness.
Of our Jewiness. Of our Jewiness.
Anyone ever heard of the word anti-Semitic? What's that mean? What does that mean? Against who? Against the who? Say it one more time. Against the who? If you're anti-Semitic, you're against Jews. Where'd that come from? You know, anti-Semitic, the word only goes back to the late 1800s. As it relates to being anti-Jewish. Now, okay, now, don't throw your rocks at me. But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic? But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Michael Brown, I am Caucasian.
I am Caucasian.
I am Caucasian.
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
Without getting too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic, does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
They're not Semites at all. They're not Semites at all.
They're not Semites at all.
In fact, most of them are communists from Russia.
But how is it that only white Jews get to be referred to as Semitic?
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israelite, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, how that he said,
I know. We don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites or you want to be Jews?
AIPAC comes in and it's like someone threw you a life raft.
This week, the group secured its first major victory of the election season. Fresh off of that victory, AIPAC has already set sights on its next target.
I said, crime is at a level like we've never seen. It's rampant, it's rising. Okay, he interrupts me. I'm sorry, sir. Crime in this country has gone down. I said, you know, without looking at numbers, is there anybody in this room that think that crime has gone down? It's gone through the roof, and largely because of migrant crime. It's not only that. You know, in New York, you can't walk into a drugstore now. It's like you're in a prison of glass. If you want to buy aspirin, you have to wait 45 minutes for a clerk to come up and open because what's gone on. And every drugstore, I just lost one. I had a nice tenant. I just lost a tenant. I had a beautiful tenant at 40 Wall Street. I just lost a tenant. They opened a big chain drugstore. Big, beautiful chain. They opened, they were doing such great business. 40 Wall Street right across from the stock exchange. They gave me notice. They said, we're gonna have to close because the shelves, the people walk in, they just take everything they want, they walk out of the store. What the hell is going on? See, we have to let the police do their job. And if they have to be extraordinarily rough. And you know the funny thing with all of that stuff, look at the department stores, same thing. They walk into you see these guys walking out with air conditioners, with refrigerators on their back, the craziest thing. And the police aren't allowed to do their job. They're told, if you do anything, you're gonna lose your pension, you're gonna lose your family, your house, your car. The police want to do it. The Border Patrol wants to do it. Border Patrol, they're incredible. They want to do it. They're not allowed to do it because the liberal left won't let them do it. The liberal left wants to destroy them, and they want to destroy our country. You know, if you had one day, like one real rough, nasty day with the drugstores as an example, where when they start walking out with, you know, she created something in San Francisco, $950 you're allowed to steal. Anything above that, you will be prosecuted. Well, it works out that the $950 is a misnomer because you can steal whatever you want, you can go way above. But you'd see, originally you saw kids walk in with calculators. They were calculating. They didn't want to go over the $950. They're standing with calculators, adding it up. You know, these are smart people. They're not so stupid, but they have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge, Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. Mike, would you say, he's right here, he's a great congressman, would you say, Mike, that if you were in charge, you would say, oh, please, don't touch them, let them rob your store, all these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent, then the city doesn't have, it's a chain of events, it's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out, and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately. We are the party of common sense. I knew that once they had open borders, all of the countries, I didn't think about all over the world, I thought in South America, it's all over the world. Last week, a lot of people came in from the Congo, a big prison in the Congo in Africa. Welcome to the United States. They came in from the Congo. They came in from the Congo. They came in from the Congo. They don't pay rent. Then the city doesn't have, it's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately.
Welcome to Fulton County, Georgia, otherwise known as Atlanta. It's one of the most dangerous counties in all of America. It also votes overwhelmingly for Democrats. This place has seen better days, that's for sure. How popular is the MAGA hat around here? You wouldn't expect it, but Donald Trump did go to a Chick-fil-A in this county. He's also being prosecuted in this county, and this is the county that gave us the legendary Trump mugshot. We rolled up in the Trump Rolls Royce with rapper Forgiato Blow to hand out MAGA hats in the hood today in Fulton County. Let's see if the people of Fulton County want a president with a mugshot. Let's see if the people of Fulton County want a president with a mugshot.
Let's see if the people of Fulton County want a president with a mugshot.
Well, there are multiple cries of racism aimed at the president tonight after he used an expletive to describe several countries that are black majority and lauded the country of Norway, which is majority white. And now even Republicans are calling for an apology. What had been a day of negotiations on an immigration deal.
Deal or no deal, Senator?
No deal yet.
There's got to be one because we're running out of time.
Turned into another PR debacle for the president after word leaked out about comments he made in an Oval Office meeting. The Washington Post first breaking the news that when Trump learned of a plan that would restore protections for immigrants from countries like Haiti, El Salvador, and several African nations, the president apparently growing frustrated, leading him to say, "Why are we having all these people from expletive-hole countries come here?" The Post reporting the president then went on to say that the U.S. should bring in more people from countries like Norway. The White House did not verify that the president made those statements, but it has not denied them either.
Using vulgar language, President Trump today questioned why the United States would allow people from Haiti and Africa into the country, describing those places using an expletive while suggesting people from Norway might be more acceptable. He reportedly made the comments during a White House meeting with a bipartisan group of senators. The White House tonight is not denying the president made the remarks. Now, we want you to know our report includes that expletive once so that you can hear the complete quote for yourself. And of course, it may not be appropriate for some of our younger viewers. NBC's Peter Alexander has details.
The president tonight apparently uncorking another astonishing statement, complaining to lawmakers in the Oval Office about protections for immigrants. Why do we want these people from, quote, all these shithole countries here? According to a Democratic aide familiar with the conversation, Mr. Trump was referring to African nations and Haiti, before suggesting the U.S. should have more people from places like Norway, whose prime minister he met yesterday. A White House spokesman tonight not denying the president's words, but saying certain Washington politicians choose to fight for foreign countries.
Listen, man, Donald Trump is the best thing that ever happened to America, and I'm gonna tell you why. He don't hide his feelings, he don't hide his emotions, he don't hide who he is. Do you want somebody to hide who they are? No, and Donald Trump doesn't do that. I love Trump, let's go. Let's go, Trump. More money with Trump, right? Let's go. More money with Trump.
That's cool, man, too. Make sure you go vote for with that hat, you feel me? You can get my hat off my head. Keep pushing the, the knowledge of the kids in the street. Vote Trump.
The terms of the April 16th, 1862, the Emancipation Act, required any owner of slaves living in Washington, D.C. to document each of the enslaved persons, give their names, give a physical description of each person, and give an estimated value of each person.
This act established 3 commissioners to hear petitions from slave owners in the District of Columbia applying for payment for their slaves.
Congress paid slave owners to give up their slaves. That's morally questionable. They knew it, but they felt for this first emancipation, it had to be done.
Trump. What's up, Trump? I get you a MAGA hat? You want a MAGA hat, my brother? For sure. I don't know what they got to say about Trump, but I know what I got to say about it. I'll with him. Excuse my language. Get you one right there, my man. Thank you. Yep. Y'all want a hat? Free hat?
I love him. He for the community.
Community, for the people.
For the people.
Help people get money, care about people, right?
Trump 2024. Trump 2025. 2024 over with.
I like America. I want America to be great. He says he's going to do it, so hey, I'm putting my word in him.
Yeah, man. Trump, man. Vote Trump, man. Make America great again.
Tell me the reason why you just said, though.
Oh, Trump like that money. He ain't racist, man.
So Donald Trump says he believes in reparations for white people who have suffered under DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is.
Of justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We are going to have real education in America.
Bob Good has been defeated by challenger State Senator John McGuire.
Missouri Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush, known for being part of the Squad, will no longer serve in Congress next year.
Across our country, Jewish Americans strengthen, sustain, and inspire our nation. As president, I will always celebrate and honor the Jewish people, and I will always stand with our treasured friend and ally, the State of Israel. That I can tell you.
What's your thoughts? Please be respectful with your comments. Also, please click the like, click the notification bell, and subscribe to this channel.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons. For real, and these were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10. These were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10. These were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10.